Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here today for another one of our 3 in 30. So we're actually up to the letter M. I can't believe how fast it's flying through, to be honest. So again, I just want to thank everyone who really kindly gave me suggestions for letters of the alphabet. And as I've said before, I'm not going to actually name people who maybe have given me the idea, because it may be that several people suggested it and I don't want to kind of leave somebody out. So just rest assured, I read all of the comments and I'm really grateful for everybody who commented. So thank you very much. So for M, I was struggling to kind of come up with an idea for M, but I'm going to go with magazines. So yes, if you're joining in the challenge, oops, let me get my timer there. So I'm going to put my timer to the side. What I've brought along with me, I've got a magazine. Now this magazine is called This England. It's winter 2013. I got this from, you know, just a car boot sale in amongst some other things, but it happens to have some really quite good images to use for this type of project. So that's what I'm going to use. I have brought along a couple of my plain magazine pages that I have painted. So those are the ones that I painted for the journal that we did together. I've got obviously some book page and doily and, you know, various things that I may like to use for decorating my projects up. So lace, doily, sheet music, I mean, obviously you name it, it's on my desk. And then the final thing that I'm going to use, and this I saw on somebody else's channel and I can't remember whose it was. It could have been Natasha at Treasure Books. I will try and find whose video it was and I will try and link it below, but I watched it some time ago. And when I thought, oh, magazines, I thought, oh, I can give that technique a try. So these are some tea bags. Obviously they have been emptied out of the tea and dried. So I've got a few here that I'm going to use to cover my magazine images with. So that's another thing that you're going to need. You will then need, I'm going to use Mod Podge to put my magazine, you know, the tea bag onto the magazine pages. So again, I've got Mod Podge here and I've got a little brush to paste it on with. If you don't want to use Mod Podge, you could, you know, I don't know, maybe use a glue stick or something. I wouldn't like to say because I haven't honestly tried it, but I have tried it with the Mod Podge just to check that it did work. Obviously, aside from that, you're going to need scissors, glue, yeah, just an abundance of things that you would like to use to cover your pieces. So to save a bit of time, I've flicked through this magazine and I've folded over the pages that seem to have some interesting images. So I'm going to click go on the timer. Hopefully you can all see that, and unfortunately the sun is now streaming through, so I hope it's not going to be really glary. But I'm going to try and keep the timer obviously in view. So I'm going to click go and away we go. Okay, it's on. Right, so if I flick through, I'm just going to tear out the pages of images that I thought maybe were interesting to use. So tear that page out, tear this one out. I mean, this is a really awesome magazine and it just happened to have, oops, there we go, I've already knocked into the foam with the timer. That's the first time, no doubt that will happen again. Yeah, just an awesome magazine. I've never heard of it before. Don't know whether it's still in existence or whether it was a, you know, one-off or it must have been a couple off, because I seem to get a couple of copies, you know, for different years. But yes, I've never heard of it before, and it just happens to have really awesome pictures for using for this type of thing. So let me just tear out the final couple that I have selected, and then I will show you the actual images that are on the pages that I've chosen to use. Right, I've got this man. He's a little bit like the men that I like to use from the children's encyclopedias, so couldn't resist him when I saw that. Then I have got this girl on, you know, like a bit like Lady Godiva. Well, she's not Lady Godiva actually because she's fully clothed, but girl or lady on a white horse it says. So I wonder whether I can manage to get both of those out of this one piece of tea bag. Obviously I've already used a little bit because I had tried this out, because I'd never done this technique before. I just wanted to make sure that it was actually going to work before I actually endeavoured on doing this as a video. So I'm just going to paste over exactly as you would with like decoupage, and then I'm going to place my tea bag over the top, and again just going to go over it again, oops, with the Mod Podge. Now I'm using the full-on Mod Podge rather than a watered down version, which I do for the napkin decoupage, and it may be that that would have been better, but you know, again, I didn't try that. So that's that one. I'm going to leave it to the side to dry. Then we've got this man, which luckily I think I'm going to be able to actually get the two out of that one tea bag. These tea bags, these were some herbal ones that I just happen to have, you know, when you've been to places and they have the herbal tea bags. So these were some herbal teas. I mean, I personally don't drink herbal teas, and I tend to drink cheapy 1 cup tea, which is over here in the UK, we tend to get round tea bags, which obviously weren't really going to cut the mustard necessarily. So I have taken the, right, sorry, I'm just going to cut this down. I have taken the herbal tea bags, and then what I did was cut, or sorry, have a cup of tea with my normal tea, and then I opened all of these herbal ones out and emptied everything out of them. Oops, actually I've just forgotten because I meant to do something first with this one, so bear with me. You see, I did have a loose plan for this. All right, okay. Let's tear this down, because what I want to do is cover up, obviously, the writing here. So I'm going to cover that up like that. Yeah, so what I did, I emptied out the herbal teas, and then I put them all in a cup, and then emptied my used tea bag from my, you know, 1 cup cheapy round tea bags that I use for my tea, and just left them to soak into these tea bags so as they discoloured the bags themselves for a little while. And then obviously I then had, you know, oh, isn't that annoying? Look, right, let's just piece it in here. So, oh, right, okay. Well, hopefully that's going to look okay. It will probably look shocking now, but just going to paste over that like that. Yeah, so I just left them out then in the bowl for a little while to obviously sink in so that they became discoloured, because when I obviously emptied them out from the herbal tea, they obviously were white, and I didn't want them white. I wanted them sort of tea stained. So that's how I did that, in case anyone's not done it before and wanted to know how. I know that I had seen people use tea bags sometimes and wondered, you know, how they did it and what they did. So just put that to one side now to dry. Isn't this a cute image? It's really nice, isn't it? Now, what I might try and do, and I don't know how successful I'm going to be here, is I'm going to cut this down and try and piece it together. Now again, I'm just being really stingy because obviously I only had a certain amount of the herbal teas. Oh, I'm going to need several joins there, so I don't think that's going to work after all. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? Right, well, perhaps I'll come back to that one in a minute. So see how much we've got left from the other ones. I thought this was a really awesome image. So let's see whether I can cover that with the tea bag. Oh my gosh, look at the time. Already, I'm 23.5 minutes. Oh my gosh, where has that time gone? Just too much yakking and going on. Not really enough time actually getting on with the task. Right. Now, obviously I haven't ever joined the tea bags together before, so that might really not turn out to be very ideal, because obviously I've got a thick bit now through the middle. But I mean, again, it's all just trial and error. We're just experimenting here, and you know, if it's not quite perfect, that's fine. So I'm going to leave that now to dry as well. Right, I'm thinking I had best crack on a little bit. So have I got 3 main images? I guess I have, really. Yeah, I have. So let me put my brush down to one side for a moment. Okay. Right. While those things are drying, and I'm really hoping that they're going to dry enough during this, you know, time, because obviously that's a little bit of a worry. I'm going to cut this down. So this is my painted magazine pages. So, I mean, again, I'm actually using the magazine page themselves as the base of my piece that I'm going to make. And I thought I'm just going to make a little fold out. So just going to fold it in like that. I'm not going to worry about that torn edge. I think that's really quite nice looking like that. And then I'm just going to cut that down there at the edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp around that just to give it a little bit of impact, so it's not completely plain. Found this old stamp the other day laying around, buried on my desk, which obviously I've had for so long that I'd even forgotten I had it, and it had just got completely buried. So I thought, good use of that. Actually, just seeing whether I can find my timber brown, because I might do brown stamping. So I'm trying to find the most scripty part of the stamp. So, oops, oh, that's not very good stamping, is it? It's very smudgy. Right, let's try and not press too hard, because I'm going to make a bit of a mess of this one, I think. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in here like that, and I'm going to go around the edges. If I get time, I'm going to try and fill the pieces in with some coffee dyed paper to journal on. It may be that I don't have time to fully do that, because I mean, as you can see, the timer's already now at 20 minutes. I mean, that time has absolutely flown by, hasn't it? So yeah, might have to do that after the project's finished. Right, so if I now ink this up. Now, I've not bothered doing the back because I thought this would probably be glued into a page, but again, I might come back and do the back, because I might decide that actually it, you know, it would be better as a sort of tuck-in piece that you pull out. So I'm not 100% sure about that. I should have just done the back, to be honest, and then I've covered all eventualities really, but it didn't occur to me to do that. Okay, so we're just making this look really lovely and yummy and grungy like that. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side. Obviously I'm still waiting for my pieces to dry. I'm going to neaten this up because I made a terrible job of cutting that. It's not very straight at all. So just ink, you know, just down there like that. Oh my gosh, look at the state of that. Okay. Right. Oh, still not very good, but it's probably good enough. Okay, so there's that one. And then while we're still waiting for the pieces to dry, I thought we could make a cluster from another piece. So oops, let me pop that back on there. No wonder it got lost on my desk before. And I've only just found it and it's already looking like it's going to get lost again. Right, so for the cluster, I'm just having a look to see what... Right, well I can't resist it. I'm going to have to use my favourite stamp, I'm afraid, sorry. I know it's just really boring using the same, but you know when something works, you've just got to stick with it, haven't you? So that's a bit how I feel about this. Okay, so this is that lovely toffee crunch colour. Oh, that's so lovely, isn't it? I mean, I know that I just go on and on about this stamp, but I just really love it. Yeah, I don't know why I love it so much, but it's just something about it that it's just my kind of pattern, I think. So I just can't get enough of it. I know that's really dull, but I mean, the other thing that obviously really helps, excuse me, it's in my drawer and I can actually find it. So that's another reason why it's so popular for me. Right, okay, so I've got some doilies. So I'm just going to tear off a little section of the doily. Let's tear this down like that. And, woo. So if we have the doily piece maybe like that or something. You see, I find myself not even wanting to cover up the gorgeous yumminess of the stamp. I just really do love it. Right, I've got this here. So this is just a stamped ticket piece. It's just floating around on my desk. So just thought I would grab that. Because all I'm actually trying to do is layer some things up so that I've got a bunch of things going on here. So pop that on there, and then just see, I did definitely bring some book page with me. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to tear a bit of book page out. Like that. Okay. And then we probably want a bit of lace. Let me just check that I'm in frame. I had this horrible feeling for a minute that it's completely out of frame there. Okay. Right, just trim that round. Oh, that's looking nice, isn't it? Now, unfortunately, these are not really dry at all, which is not very helpful, I must say. So I'm feeling a little bit irritated now. I would dry it with my dryer, but it's going to make a lot of noise. And obviously I can't really stop the video because it's the challenge. So I'm trying to obviously do the whole thing with you guys. Well, perhaps what I'll do, I wonder if I could put it sort of near my hot glue gun, whether the heat would actually help it dry. Let's just try that with one of them. Okay. Oh my gosh, what a bodgy crafting method there. Just sitting that on top of my hot glue gun, hoping that the heat's going to dry it out. Bodgy crafting. Right, okay, so that's that piece, and then this book page. So this is just some vintage book page. It's not hugely vintage. I think it was like the 60s. And it was a play from, I think it was Noel Coward. And the brilliant thing is, it's got a mixture of this lovely metallic text and normal, which is really nice because then you get kind of a, you know, different look. Right, grab my inker. I'm wanting to obviously keep this as much showing of that pattern as there can be. Now, do I distress that lace or do we want it white? It's quite nice white actually. I think I've said before, I mean, I do struggle to do quite colourless pieces normally. So, that technique with the hot glue gun is working, would you believe? So what I'm going to do is just prepare this next one and put her on there now to dry. So while we finish the man off, we'll just leave her and then hopefully she'll be dry, ready for the next one. And then I need to dry this one out, which obviously this one's pretty saturated because it was quite a big picture. And this is obviously for that fold out piece. So it's going to take a bit more drying anyway. So let's fingers crossed that that's going to actually work for that one. Right, got that man. Let's put this big one on the hot glue gun now. And put her on as well. Kind of like her at the top, I think. So you know what's going to happen next, of course, don't you? They're going to be glued together. I will have glued her onto the other one. So yeah, this is definitely a how not to craft. Now I'm tearing around this man like that. Come on. There we go. I mean, how vintage does he look? He looks good, doesn't he? There we go. And then just go around a little bit extra at the corners or at the edges. I'm just going to stick him there like that, and we'll just have the ticket coming out behind him. So really love how that looks. Okay, so pop the ticket on. Then I've got my 3-in-1 glue for the lace. I just splotch a bit of that down. Okay. Just grab my dry wet wipe and press that down. And then I'm just going to glue this man down with the 3-in-1, like the Fabri-Tac, because obviously some of it will be glued onto the fabric. There we go. Oh, he looks great, doesn't he? Yeah, really like him. So, whoops, that's him done. And I mean, of course, could add some bling or something. Let me just have a look and see. Shouldn't really be wasting time like this, should I? I should just crack on to the next one. But let's just see. I've got some pearls here, so let's pop some pearls on. Oh, that looks really nice. So just a couple of pearls there across the bottom. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pop that one out the way to dry, and we will get on to the next one. So the next one is obviously this girl on the horse. Now for her, I've now forgotten what I actually had intended for her. Oh, the pressure, I've obviously forgotten now what my actual intention was for her. So now I'm going to have to wing it and think of something to do with her. I wonder if we make her a paperclip. So let's just tear around there. She's not quite dry, I have to say. So it might go really badly when I come to ink her up. There we go. Okay. Just going to move that other piece around, oh no, around on the hot glue gun so that it's getting the whole thing dry, not just, you know, one section of it. I can't believe that that's actually working. How convenient. Right, okay, let's ink her up. And as I say, she is quite wet still, so it's, you know, not ideal. Obviously, it would have been better to have left her for a little bit longer, but never mind. Didn't have time for that. Now I just wondered whether I could go over the back of that with some more of the tea bag, because I don't have to be quite so stingy now. What do you think? Do you know, I might do that, and that's just the irony, because now I'm going to have to wait for that to dry. So that, I'm sure, will never be dry before the video, but we'll see. I'll try the hot glue gun trick again and see whether we can persuade it to dry with that. Okay. So pop that down. Again, I'm just going to go over the tea bag with a bit of the Mod Podge like that. I mean, I guess really the tea bag, I mean, it is like a napkin, isn't it? Because the, you know, the texture is very similar to a napkin, isn't it? So can you see that pattern through there? It just looks lovely, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to leave that on the hot glue gun. Fingers crossed, really, is all I can say for that. Now this one has surprisingly dried quite a bit. Not perfectly, but quite a bit. So, and this is where I find out it's miles too big for this piece anyway. What I'm going to do is just tear around there. Like that. Obviously I need to tear it in quite a bit because it's got to fit on here. Oh my gosh, I'm down to like 6 minutes 47. Okay, so that looks really nice, doesn't it? So again, I'm going to ink that up a little bit further. Oh, these tea bags, they just work a treat, I must say. They really look good. So yeah, I'm going to have to be aging some other things, I think, with them. Right, so I'm going to pop that down. So I'm just going to glue that on because obviously I haven't really got time to muck about too much. So let's just go for that. Oops. Now I've just thought, I bet that's upside down now. Well, it probably doesn't really matter because, to be honest, that doesn't seem to be an actual pattern as such on that stuff, you know, on that background. Now, also what I had done was, obviously we'd done this and I was going to use this somewhere as a label. Again, this is far from dry. So let me just cut this out for a minute. Oh gosh, look at that timer. Right, I'm going to pop this now on the hot glue gun. So let's just leave that on there for a minute. Okay, ink this up again. Right, we'll go back to this one now. So I'm going to leave that there for a minute and just hope that that label sort of dries. I don't know whether it's going to or not. Now, this one here, wanted to do as a sort of paper clip. So I'm going to cut that down. Actually, now I'm wishing I'd torn it because I don't really like that squared edge really. Oh well, we'll tear it here now. Oh my gosh, look at that timer. And this is really wet. Oh no. Oh, this is not ideal. Okay, right. So we could have her there. Just ink that up. Now, she's got that blue dress on. Can you see that? So I'd love to put something blue on there. Got this little pot now with butterflies in it. By this point, I've probably shown you my desk. I did a video of my desk. My gosh, talk about shocking. I mean, even to me, and I'm obviously very used to seeing it. I couldn't believe the state of my desk. So, although I said at the time of doing it, you know, this will not be a before and after because it's just going to be a before. Because I was so horrified myself, I have begun to have a bit of a clear up. Don't get me wrong, probably not, you know, not to anybody else's standards, but from my standards, I've begun to think about storage, and you know, I'm making very, 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 very small steps. I mean, everyone just has to start with small steps, don't you? So, right, pop that on there. Now, obviously, this is all a little bit soggy, so, you know, this is not ideal. Far from it. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit of lace. I don't know whether I want any lace or not, but let's just have a look before we actually kind of finish this off. Right, I'm just going to have a little bit down there. Like that. So again, I'm just going to glue that with the Fabri-Tac. Like that. Press that down. Oh my gosh, look at the time, look at the time, look at the time. Oh. I mean, I guess what I could have done was obviously prep the magazine pages first, i.e. the tea bags. But I mean, of course, I wanted you guys to see that part, because, you know, what's the point in me doing that and saying, oh, I did this beforehand, because then anyone who'd not seen that technique wouldn't know what I was talking about. You know, I mean, as I say, I had never done that myself before either. So I wanted to obviously fully share the whole thing. Right, I'm now hunting around looking for something for backing for my paperclip. So, I mean, again, not ideal, but I'm just going to use this because, to be honest, I'm seriously kind of running out of time now. Shall we have it as a side clip, I think? Right, okay. Oops, got to use my hot glue gun now with the label balanced on it. So let's just pop that back on there for a moment and use the hot glue gun. There we go. And again, I mean, I'm just doing this just because this is then really nice and quick. So there we go. It's instant and it's stuck on there. Oh my goodness me, look at the time. Could have a bit of bling on there because, wow, nothing's ever the same if it doesn't have bling. Okay, let's just trim some down. Trim a 3. Going to go for the gold because I think that looks really nice actually on there. And weirdly enough, I'm getting quite into the gold now. Like I said before, I thought I'd be really loving the gold, and then surprisingly wasn't using it that much. But actually I'm beginning to really like it now. Right, that's my paperclip done, so that's out the way. Back to this piece now. So I really like using things like labels when they're cut in half. So I'm going to cut this one in half. Oh my goodness me, I'm really having to rush now. Oh my gosh, 13 seconds, really? Come on. Oh no, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah, time is up now. Okay, well, par for the course. I seem to just overrun every single time lately, which is super naughty, I know, but I'm going to pop that on there as just a little label. So there we go. Okay, got there eventually. So that's my little fold out piece. Now, as I say, I have left these, and obviously in slower time, what I thought that I would probably do, and I'm just having a look to see if I've got any smallish pieces handy. Hold on. Is I would probably put some pages in there for journaling. But I mean, obviously, because the timer ran out, you know, I just didn't get around to doing that. So, you know, I'm not deeming this as cheating, she says. It was something that I kind of didn't anticipate having time for anyway. So all I'm going to do is, and this is some of that, I think it's called fly sheet, you know, from the inside blank pages of books. Oops. Like that. We can have those two there. And then I'll just get one more piece. Cut that down to the same size. I mean, as you can see, it's got a corner missing. I don't really mind that. I think that's fine. So, pop it like that. Okay. Oops. So, I mean, probably really should round the corners so it looks nice and neat. So this is a little bit like the greaseproof paper fold out piece that we did on the letter G. It's similar piece, isn't it? It's the same sort of concept with the fold out piece. So there we go. Okay, so I would just glue those down. So one. I mean, you don't really need to do this because obviously we left a gap in the middle of each one for journaling anyway. But, oops, just so it's even more obvious, I guess. It's quite nice to add the actual blank pieces of paper, isn't it? Okay. I'm just going to pop that one in. Now I'm gluing this one down with the 17 showing. I assume that's page 17 because I think that looks quite nice just there from the book. And as you can see, I mean, the pages there sort of discoloured from where it's obviously an old book, but again, I quite like that. And I'll just ink up, you know, around the edges slightly more, like that. And then, you know, those little edges of those pieces of paper, they really go really nicely with the fold out piece. Okay, so we got there in the end, and yes, I did obviously overrun a little bit, but you know, that's just one of those things again. So that's my 3 pieces for this week using magazines. Again, I think I said with the journal that I made using the magazine pages, I love the feel of these painted magazine pages. They're kind of really soft and I don't know how to describe them, but they go really soft and sort of, I don't know, something really nice about them. So again, this little fold out booklet has got that lovely soft feel about it, and it just feels really nice in your hands. So there's that piece there. Hopefully you can see kind of close up to the camera how that looks now. Then we've got the altered paperclip, which again, hopefully you can kind of see all the pieces on there. And again, we backed that onto that magazine page and used obviously the magazine image. And then here we've got the cluster, which again, the base was the magazine page. He was from the magazine, and we've just obviously popped the doily and things like that on, and a little cluster there. So we really only used the magazine pages other than like some book page and things. The foundations and the images were all from the magazines. So I hope that you enjoyed the challenge, and if you're joining in, you know, if you've kind of watched through to see what types of materials you need and then you're going to give it a go, again, I would absolutely love to see what you come up with. And yeah, I hope that you really have a lot of fun with it. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you'll join me next week for next week's. I'll just put these on a plain piece of paper because they look hideous obviously there. Yes, I hope you'll join me for next week's, and hope you've enjoyed the challenge. Thanks very much. Bye.